call the meeting to order. We'll start with a moment of silent prayer and reflection. Let's move on to the roll call. Here.
Kyle Niederman.
Here.
Lisa Roman.
Here.
John Maston.
Next up is we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up is the review and acceptance of the agenda for the Accession. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda item as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Archana Alliar.
Yes.
Kyle Niederman.
Yes.
Lisa Roman.
Yes.
Gary Ferrand.
Yes. Next up is we have a need for an executive session. So I would like to make a motion that we go into executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Do we need to vote? Okay. No worries.
Sorry. Kyle Niederman.
Yes.
Lisa Roman.
Yes.
Archana Alliar.
Yes.
Gary Ferrand.
Yes. So we are in executive session. Right, we are back from executive session. Let's move on to agenda item 4.1. Dr. Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tonight it is recommended that the governing board approve the appointment of Mrs. Lindsey Bitterman as the Director of Human Resources. Mrs. Bitterman brings 12 years of experience in education to the position of Director of Human Resources. Mrs. Bitterman started her teaching career in 2009 as a math teacher at Thunderbolt Middle School. During her 10 years as a middle school teacher, Mrs. Bitterman taught 7th and 8th grade students pre-algebra, advanced pre-algebra, and teen leadership. Mrs. Bitterman also served as the math department chair, articulation lead, and a mentor teacher. In 2019, Mrs. Bitterman became an assistant principal at Thunderbolt Middle School, and in 2020, she became the principal. In each of these roles, she has had a variety of experiences in leadership to include recruiting and hiring new staff, evaluating classified and certified staff, and addressing both student and staff discipline and attendance. In addition, she has been a member of several district committees, including the 301 Committee, Budget Committee, and the Teacher and Principal Evaluation Committees. Mrs. Bitterman believes in cultivating the skill sets and critical dispositions needed to be an outstanding educator. She is adept at leading and working with teams. She's worked with teachers and administrators on analyzing data to improve instructional practices and move students' learning forward. She is a systems thinker who has utilized policy and regulations to support the systems, routines, and procedures necessary to promote high staff performance. She is able to balance her strong core family values with hard work and dedication. Mrs. Bitterman has demonstrated ethical and innovative leadership during a very challenging year. Her willingness to learn, her passion for our district, and elevating staff members, in addition to her commitment to the success of our students, staff, and community, make her a great fit for the Director of Human Resources.
Do I have a motion on 4.1?
I move to approve item 4.1.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
I think Dr. Stone already said it all.
Yes.
Kyle Niederman.
Yes.
Lisa Roman.
Yes.
Archana Alliar.
Yes.
Gary Ferrand.
Yes. Congratulations, Lindsey. Let's move on to 4.2. Dr. Stone.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, it is recommended that the governing board approve Jonathan Moss as the principal of Nautilus Elementary School. Jonathan Moss holds a bachelor's degree in small business administration and a master's degree in mathematics education. He is currently finishing his EDS doctorate in educational leadership. Mr. Moss holds the following Arizona Department of Education certificates: elementary K-8, middle school mathematics, career and technical education, business, adult education, principal of pre-K-12, gifted and talented education, structured English immersion. Mr. Moss has served as a teacher and interventionist for Mojave Accelerated Learning Center. He currently serves in Mojave Valley Elementary School District as a teacher, athletic director, and administrative intern. He has redesigned the athletic program and served on a variety of committees focused on leadership, to include the COVID response team, leadership committee, and bond override steering committee. He has also worked on committees to design the AOI and roadmap to learning, as well as develop the social media profile to engage families with an average reach of over 2,000. In his spare time, he also serves as the vice president of the WAVE JTED board. Mr. Moss has a passion for building relationships that lead to improved academic achievement and behavior. His focus on restorative justice practices serve the whole child, which is already a focus at Nautilus. Mr. Moss looks forward to continuing the great work at Nautilus to support moving learning forward for all students while engaging the entire school community. We're delighted to welcome Mr. Moss and his family to the Lake Havasu City community.
Do I have a motion on 4.2?
I'll make a motion to present 4.2 as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Math ed. I like math ed. Sorry, had to say that.
I just wanted to say I did sit in on Mr. Moss's interview, and I think he's a really good candidate. So out of the two candidates, I think he's definitely the strong choice.
Cool.
Arjuna Ayar,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Eric Duran.
Yes. Congratulations. Glad to have you aboard. Let's move on to 4.3. Dr. Stone, you again.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, in 2019, the LHUSD Governing Board approved spending no more than $95,000 annually for Singapore math materials. These consumable materials have been purchased in July each year. We are requesting approval of the expenditure at this time for the upcoming school year to ensure materials arrive before the start of the school year. In order to ensure that workbook and other consumable materials are ordered, delivered, inventoried, and distributed to school sites in a timely manner, the Student Achievement Department is requesting to order the materials in late spring of each year rather than July. Since these materials were purchased for 2021 in this fiscal year, we are asking the board to spend no more than $95,000 at this time to purchase Singapore math workbooks for grades K through 6 for the 21-22 school year. This change will allow our teachers to be prepared for the first day of the 21-22 school year. This item has been reviewed and approved by the business department.
Do I have a motion on 4.3?
I move to approve 4.3.
I'll second.
Discussion. I do have a couple of things to say. This is just with regard to curriculum and where we're moving forward as a district. It almost really starts with core knowledge. I asked Dr. Stone to kind of talk about where we are with curriculum and kind of approving things. You shared with me that the plan is really moving forward to go and looking at things with and tell me if I'm wrong, with a 5 to 7 year evaluation type period. These were approved in 2019. So I'm looking forward to getting this process as we move forward with all our curriculum going of saying this is a time period. Let's look at these. And then I know you were also in the email talking about how we're going to be evaluating curriculum over that time. So we really have a process where we're very transparent, where, okay, we're going to be looking for a certain time period, we have our curriculum, and then we're going to look at it, evaluate how we're doing it, and then either redo it or find some other curriculum and have the community really involved in that process.
And I think as we move forward, not only in math, not only in core knowledge, we need to really think about that process and have that going forward. And I know that's something that you're wanting to get going as we move forward.
Yes, our Student Achievement Department will be doing all of those things, kind of creating a schedule for regular curriculum review, certainly looking at assessing how our students are doing using that curriculum. We have our benchmark assessments, we have the AZM2 that will provide us information, but it's also that professional development piece and making sure that we're providing our teachers with the professional development they need more often to ensure that they're implementing it with fidelity and have their questions answered as we move forward implementing these things.
And that's part of why we're voting on this now, is that they have the entire summer to then look at their materials. And
Yes, so instead of these materials possibly being delayed and not being here for the first day of school, we would make sure they're here and available in teachers' classrooms.
And I'm hoping this is going to make it easier on the board, seeing that, we would have these materials that we would have approved for a set period of time while we're looking at it and evaluating. Kind of, okay, we've done this, we know we're going to be doing core knowledge or Singapore math or whatever that's been approved and approved by the community. And then as we move through that, we'll see the evaluation process. We can, systematize it for a short period of time so we can get teachers their early, books at the start of the year, and we know what's going on with it.
I know I'll sound like a broken record because I've spoken about how much I think workbooks are useful for students, but I will say it again. I just think from a parent perspective, having, especially elementary kids, although maybe it's every age, but having them come home from school and as a parent asking them, what did you learn about, what did you do, and hearing nothing or I don't remember or I don't know, having a workbook that they can actually show you what they're learning and show you what their progress has been, I think is very helpful for parents as well.
Any other discussion?
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Archana Ayar,
Yes.
Eric Moran,
Yes. 4.4, it's the Dr. Stone Show.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, again, it is recommended that the board approve the purchase of toolbox resources for 3 additional elementary schools to support school counselors at each of the school sites at a price not to exceed $20,000. The LHUSD board approved the toolbox counselor resource on July 6, 2020 to support the school safety grant and counselors that were added to the elementary schools. For the 21-22 school year, LHUSD will use grant funding to expand the counseling program and provide 1 counselor for each elementary school. Due to this expansion, we are requesting the purchase of 3 additional sets of toolbox counselor resources not to exceed $20,000. Toolbox naturally encourages empathy, understanding, and 12 skills or practices to navigate the complexities of everyday life. It is an inside-out approach that emphasizes children's ability to manage their own emotional, social, and academic success by giving them access to the inner tools that empower them. Toolbox provides a common language shared by students, staff, and parents. Toolbox addresses the trauma and/or adverse childhood experiences children experience in life. Counselors will use this resource when developing classroom lessons and conducting parent presentations, small groups, and individual counseling opportunities. This has been approved by the business department.
Do I have a motion on 4.4?
I move to approve item 4.4.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
I did have one question. Okay, so the grant funding is what we're using to pay for the counselors themselves. Is the grant funding also covering the expense of this toolbox?
No.
No.
The grant just only pays for the counselors.
Okay.
We had put the program in at the schools this year, focusing on the primary. We're expanding, obviously, with more counselors to look at making sure we're addressing all the way through.
I'm excited to think that we will have a counselor at each elementary school.
That is very good news.
Awesome.
So
And
then,
go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Which fund will the toolbox come out of?
We're planning to have this approved through the ESSER grant. That is the ultimate goal, to have it, if it gets approved, that's the plan that's being submitted.
And then is it $20 per toolbox or $20 all total?
20,000?
I'm sorry, yes. That'd be a bargain.
Wow, yeah.
It would be total for all 3.
But yeah, that's a key piece to training. I think, with the grant money, that to me, shows that we're in good faith doing this. We've got the grant. We want those counselors in there. We want to have a way to systematize it and have it a positive thing going on in the future. Any other discussion?
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Tatiana Alliar,
Yes.
John, Avery Moran,
Yes. Next up, announcements. I just reminding everybody of our next meeting. Next meeting is June 15th, 2021, 6 p.m. here in this office, right, or in the board, what do we call this?
The boardroom.
The boardroom. The boardroom. So that's our next meeting. And then the last item is I will call for a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Tatiana Alliar,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Eric Moran,
Yes, we are adjourned.